everybody. Welcome to Motherhood Unfiltered. This is our first official podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about a huge part of motherhood that isn't really talked about, which is getting pregnant, whether it's a surprise or a year-long wait.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about all the juicy details. You know, everyone talks about becoming a mom, having the newborn, how beautiful it is, joining this motherhood. However, no one really mentions or talks about the struggles of getting pregnant or the struggles having the baby.
I feel like everyone only talks about don't get pregnant, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Or get pregnant right after marriage.
Yeah. Like, hello?
So I'm going to start from the beginning. Me and my husband actually started dating when we were in high school. We were high school sweethearts. It was 2011. So we actually dated 8 years before we got married. We got married when we were 23.
Were you guys, sophomores?
No, it was at the end of our freshman year.
And
I know, right? If you can imagine, my parents were very traditional. So when my dad found out, he was very upset. He was like, "Why didn't you tell me? You had to ask me for permission." And I was like, it just happened.
Yeah.
And he actually didn't find out until our 1 year anniversary that we were dating.
Oh my God, a whole year, girl. Hello?
So I think maybe that's why he was a little bit more upset.
Yeah.
I was already,
So
16?
You told him you've been together for a year?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, girl.
Yeah. So while I was in high school, me and my boyfriend, we were dating. You know, we had talks. We always knew we wanted to become parents. And I had this whole timeline. We would talk about this timeline even before we got married or engaged. I wanted to, finish college, go to college, get my degree, and by 23 get married, and then have kids by 25. Going back before I move forward, I got married at 23. I got my degree, which is great. Me and my husband were set in our careers. We had our jobs.
The plan was going accordingly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was going right. But then COVID hit. And, we wanted to travel, enjoy ourselves as partners. I had that value of not having sex before marriage. And I really thought it was special. And I really wanted to stick with it. So once I got married, we wanted to enjoy each other as partners. It was, okay, now we can travel alone. We weren't able to travel alone before. So we wanted to enjoy that. But a few months after we got married, COVID. So that kind of stopped everything.
I know, months too, right?
And I know it was very difficult for you too during COVID.
I know. My mom wouldn't even let me see Richie, like my husband now, but we were dating for a year already then, and I couldn't see him. And then I got COVID and I couldn't see him for 2 more weeks. I was so mad. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, back to the story.
I know that definitely put a stop to everything. So after COVID, we actually started traveling. We went to Mexico a few times. We went to Europe. And before having the baby, we went to the Maldives. But a lot of people don't know this story. I actually thought, I'm going to book our Maldives trip and maybe we'll be pregnant.
Oh.
Like, maybe it'll be our baby moon. But luckily it wasn't, because, oh my God, that flight was long.
Yeah. 30 hours. I was like, hello?
No, it was long. I don't know if I would have been able to.
No, I saw your post. I was like, ooh, that's on my bucket list. And you're like, yeah, it was 30 hours. Yeah, it's off my bucket list. I'm like, scratch.
But it's very beautiful. I really recommend it to anyone. Please go to the Maldives. It was beautiful. But yeah, so we were always pushing it. It was just like a conversation, like, yeah, we want to be parents. We want to have a baby. But it was just conversation, like, okay, we'll have a baby soon. We'll have a baby soon.
And time just kept going.
And time was just flying by. And before I knew it, I was 27. And I was like, oh my God, I'm almost 30. It just hit me. I was like, I can't believe I'm almost 30. Like, I want to have a baby at least before I'm 30. Like, the whole plan was like, I'll have a baby at 25, a second one, and then a third one by 30. Yeah. And I haven't even had one.
Yeah, I know. How'd that make you feel? You know how you said that the Maldives was your plan? Were you kind of sad that, was it your plan to get pregnant there or already be pregnant?
Yeah, so my intentions were be pregnant already. So it's like, okay, let's book it. If I'm pregnant already, great, it'll be my baby moon.
Yeah.
So I was excited for that. But if it didn't happen, I was like, it's okay. Like, I'm going to be able to enjoy it. I'll be able to have some drinks. It was all-inclusive resort. But then also at the same time, like, when we went, I didn't know if I was pregnant, right? Like, we were actively trying. I didn't know if I could drink or not. So the first couple of days I was taking it slow, but I did have my pregnancy test in the suitcase. And I was like, okay, let's take one. Let's double check. And it was negative. So anyway, we did start trying to conceive a baby at 27, not actively. At 27, that was my reality check. I was like, okay, I need to get off this birth control. Like, I need to start trying to have my baby. But we decided, like, let's take it a little bit slow. Me and Daniel were like, no, like, we're not in a rush. Like, let's take it easy. let's not try to have a baby. If it happens, great. 6 months went by, fast forward, and I still wasn't pregnant. And I thought, I'm gonna get pregnant on the first try. You hear so many stories of people having one night stands and they get pregnant.
For real, no, yeah.
And for me, it was like, okay, I actually want a baby, but it's not happening. What's going on? Is there something wrong with me? Like all these questions started coming up. So I went to my doctor. I scheduled an appointment. They tested my hormones. They did blood work. And she recommended I start using ovulation strips to test my ovulation. So my blood work did come back. In the 6 months that we were actively trying, the question of, are you pregnant? Are you planning to have kids? It hit me a little bit harder. It hurt me a little bit. And it made me understand that, this isn't a question you should ask other people because you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah. And I feel like you don't realize it. I think it's crazier that moms ask it, whether like other people that don't know, have never been through this. I get it. Okay, you don't really know how it is. But like comadres asking us that, like, you know how it is.
It's like you're a mom.
Yeah,
you should know the struggles of
Yeah.
actually getting pregnant, or at least know stories of it actually happening.
Yeah.
So it would get me sad when I would get this question. This question shouldn't be taken lightly. I feel like a lot of the time it's just thrown around. It's just a casual question to be asked. But the way it made me feel, it makes me realize that, mothers or family members should understand that everyone's going through something different. So for me, it made me feel, I mean, it's not like I actually suffered depression or anything, but I was actually very sad. Me and my husband, we would have these conversations like, I can't believe they're pregnant. Like, how are we not pregnant? It made me feel like, what if there's something wrong with me? What if it's not going to happen? What if the birth control had side effects?
Yeah.
So all of these questions started coming up and I was so concerned. I was worried. Like I've always dreamed of becoming a mom.
Yeah. I think that question hurts more when you want it so bad. I think for like my perspective, it was more of a annoying, like, leave me alone, literally just got married. But for you, it was like, no, like I'm trying, but I'm not going to tell you I'm trying.
Exactly. So no one knew I was actively trying. Like they would still throw around the question, but I didn't feel comfortable letting people know, like, yeah, I'm
having
actually,
sex at home.
Yeah, exactly. Like imagine like telling my parents this, like, especially from the traditional background. Like my dad would be like, ew, I don't want to know this.
No, you should have just said that so they could stop asking. Like, yeah, we're having sex at home. Yeah, leave me alone.
Yeah, so it was a very difficult time for me. There was times when, yes, I did cry, and like at the moment when you announce your pregnancy, I did go home and cry.
Yeah,
it was a very difficult time for me.
Yeah, no, I think the hardest person for us to tell was you guys, just because I felt like, yeah, you knew what space we were in and we weren't trying. So for us to come to tell you was very hard, and we thought about it a lot because we didn't want, like, not that you would feel bad. We know that you would be happy for us, but we know you wanted that a little bit more than what we did,
Yeah, I think everybody has like different stages.
Yeah.
Which is, I know things happen unplanned. It's not like you were planning to have a baby, right? And you were trying to rub it in my face like, hey, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
But, God has a plan and things happen for a reason. And, we love your baby. We love our baby too now. So we're very happy, things happened around the same time. So
yeah,
luckily we have each other.
Now we're like, woo. Back then you were like, oh.
Yeah, I was very sad.
But God was like, hold on, girl, it's gonna be your turn right now. When do you think you thought about, okay, now I have to go to the doctors, because you were getting scared that it was probably you or more?
Yeah, so like it was after 6 months. After 6 months, I decided, you know what, I need to go see a doctor. I need to get their advice. What if something's wrong with me? What if I can't get pregnant? What if I'm infertile? You hear all these stories and it's scary.
Yeah, it is.
My doctor tested my hormones, he did blood work, and recommended I start using ovulation strips. So it was a long journey.
Would you say that your faith was tested, or did it become like stronger because of this journey?
So it actually became stronger. Something I never share with anyone. I don't even think I shared it with my husband while we were trying to conceive. After we would have sex, I would just lay in bed and pray, hoping, asking for it to happen. And it seems like it worked. So
I guess it worked. You're like, thank you, God.
I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just think like you're losing all your hope. You feel like it's not going to happen. And then, you go to God and then things happen.
So when you came out, like everything was good except vitamin D and you tracked your ovulation, did Moy also check himself or was it just you first?
So it's funny that you asked that question because actually, I think I went to the doctors twice because the first time they tested my hormones only. And that's when she was like, no, your hormones are fine. Like, just have sex. Make it fun and it's gonna happen. Yeah, like if it was so easy, like she made it seem like it's so easy, like just have fun with it and it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Maybe she was telling you not to stress out because I think she sees a lot of women around this age where they're like, I need to hurry up, my time is ticking, and she's like, girl, like relax, you got this.
Exactly.
Like, I feel also when you're like tensed up, it like happens less.
It probably takes longer to happen, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so after 6 months of having fun with it, I went back to the doctors and they did blood work, and this is where my blood work came back that I was very low on vitamin D, and they recommended I start using ovulation strips.
And where'd you see all of this info, like to get your blood tested? Because I wouldn't know. Did you like research?
So I actually didn't even research it. I just went to my doctor and she recommended all these ideas, which was great, you know. Well, the ovulation strips, I had seen it on TikTok, but I was like, does it even work?
Because I would be on ChatGPT like, why am I not getting pregnant? Like, ChatGPT is my best friend sometimes.
So I had seen that, but then also I just I went on Google and I put like, and they're like, oh, average ovulation. I forgot what it is, but they have like a set date after your period that you're supposed to start ovulating. But I learned that I actually ovulate like a week later than average. So maybe that's why I wasn't getting pregnant, because I was trying to, conceive my baby
right after your period.
Right after,
or how does that work?
No, I think it's like 7 days after your period that you start ovulating.
So you were even even further back.
So I was having I was ovulating like 14 days after my period. Like, so I was almost gonna like start my new cycle again.
Oh shoot!
So it was happening very late.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back to the question you asked me about my husband getting tested. Once I went back and my blood work came out that I was low on vitamin D and my ovulation strips, I told Daniel, like, you need to go to the doctors and have an appointment so they can test you too. Because what if it's you? Like, maybe it's not me. Like, I'm blaming myself. But everything came back good for me. So I think it's you. He went and they scheduled his appointment so that he could get his semen tested to see if there was anything wrong, right? But he didn't actually have to go to his appointment because I got pregnant before he went to his appointment.
Oh my goodness, good.
Yeah.
He was probably like, no, I don't want to go. He got saved.
And he's like, what, is the nurse going to do something to me, or how does this even work?
Ew. You're like, you're coming with me? Oh my gosh. So, I mean, he got saved, I guess.
Yeah.
Men always get saved, I swear.
Exactly. I think it hits a woman harder than it hits the man, though,
for sure. Yeah.
Because for me, it's like, or for a woman, you want to become a mom, right? Or at least some of us do, right? Some people, it's just not meant for them. But for me, having that dream since I was a kid, like, I want to be a mom. I would play with my little dolls. And then now actually trying to have my baby and it's not happening. It hit me, my mental health, more than it did to my husband. My husband was just kind of like, oh, it's going to happen eventually. Yeah. Like, I don't even have to go get tested. Yeah. He was just delaying it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, are you mad?
The only thing I would say is...
Don't talk about my semen.
So this worked for me, but everyone's story is different. For me, I went to my doctors. I took my vitamin D. I started ovulation strips and almost got my husband tested. But, it doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. But don't lose hope. Have faith. And, just hope for the best. Do your research.
Yeah.
And I know your story was completely different.
So yeah, my husband and I met in high school, but I was a junior and he was a senior. And we actually I saw him first because I saw him in the hallways and I was like, who's that new kid? He's kind of cute. I literally thought he was new. I feel like our paths never crossed. And after like we started talking, we found out we have a lot of the same friends. And we were kind of like, how do we never ever meet? But yeah, I saw him in the hallways and I was like, okay, he's cute. But I'm not the type to be like, oh, you're cute. Like, give me your number and stuff like that. No, I was myself. And then one day, like, I get this text message on Instagram. He's like, hey, I think you're really pretty. And
he slid into your DMs?
Yeah, he did. Oh, no. But, and I was like, okay, like, we could talk. Like, I wasn't really the type to be open to talking to boys and all of this. I was just very involved with school. I was in sports. My time was busy. I was with my friends in sports, ASB, like everything. So I was just kind of like, I don't know, I'm like nervous, but okay. So we texted for a long time. And funny story, I didn't know his name for a long time. I was just like, okay, like I knew that I
Did he
saw
not
him.
have his name like on Instagram?
No, it was different. It was like I forgot what it was. It wasn't his name, but it was something like that. It was like Rich Yard and then 105, 150,
That's
something
funny.
like that.
There's actually a story to that. When he was little, he had me create his like Microsoft account for his Xbox or his PlayStation. I don't remember what it was. And I was like, oh, we can't use Richard because it's taken already. And I was like, let's use Richard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I
So
was
that's
like,
how it came up.
Rich? I was like, is he rich? No, but I didn't know his name for a long time. So I was like, hey, for a long time. And I asked one of my friends, I was like, oh, like I'm talking to this guy. What's his name? He's like, oh, his name's Richard. Like, I think that was months later. For a long time, I was just like, what's his name? And no one would ever say his name. So I was like, okay, like whatever. But yeah, he texted me through DM, and eventually a few weeks later, I know him through message. We met in person, but we didn't meet in school, like start talking in school. He just picked me up to go to an ice cream date from my grandma's house because my grandma lived like a minute away from the high school.
That is so funny.
Yeah, and I thought I was gonna get kidnapped because he took me through this like wood place to get to it was Farrell's in Brea. So we were in Roland and to Brea, you know how there's like a hill to go through that? And the whole time I was in the car, I was like, okay.
What's going on? Where are you taking me?
So we talked for 6 months actually. And then at the 6 months mark, I was like, wait, I'm not ready to have a relationship. I got scared because I knew that he was gonna ask me to be his girlfriend, but that scared me so much. I was like, I don't think I'm ready. Like I'm just a little girl. Literally, that was like my like fear of like getting a boyfriend. I don't know why.
Were you afraid of like the commitment?
I don't know what it was, but I think I was just never the touchy type, never the hug me. Even with my
or were you like
now,
afraid that maybe you were gonna spend less time with your friends?
Maybe. I don't even know what it was honestly, but I feel like it was more the connection wise because I'm not even touchy with my family. Like my family knows not to hug me because I don't like it. I'm just like, so I was just not like that type of person back then. And so yeah, he 6 months and I told him like sorry, maybe like later on. So for a long time he was like, are you ready? Are you ready? Like I remember in December for sure he asked me like, oh, are you ready to date? And then a couple months later, are you ready? And I was like, not yet, not yet. Until I was almost graduating, I was like, okay, like now I'm ready if you're ready. When I was graduating high school, a week before I graduated, I actually texted him back and I was like, okay, well maybe I'm ready now, like if you're ready. And he was ready. He was like, okay. And then literally 2 weeks go by and he's like, will you be my girlfriend? I was like, okay, now I'm trapped. I gotta say yes. No, I'm just kidding. So I was like, this time
But you already knew him, right?
Yeah, I already knew him. You know, we were.
Did you guys ever stop talking, like at some point?
I think we kind of did. We kind of stopped talking because I was just so busy. My senior year was super jam packed with things that I was like, not having time for boys, for anything that was extra other than school related. I wasn't like free for that. So right after I graduated, I was like, okay, I'll have more time. I'm gonna take some college classes. I think I'm ready to date. And that's when I texted him 2 weeks later. He was like, girl, I'm trapping you in. You're my girlfriend now. But no, I really like that. I waited to have more time for him. And then I feel like after that, I was also learning how to be a girlfriend throughout our whole dating thing.
And that's funny because I think my brother was also learning to be a boyfriend because he never brought anyone home. And you know, once he brought Mitzy home for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. She's great for him. She's perfect for him.
So yeah, we only dated for a year. We only dated for a year. So from 2019, which is when I graduated, all the way to 2020. The end of 2020, he proposed to me. I had just turned 20 like a week ago or like 2 weeks before that. So I feel like for me, the hardest part was accepting that I was engaged because I feel like everyone brought me down because of my age. Like I felt so like the first few months I felt embarrassed. I would like kind of cover my ring. I was so happy that I was engaged to Richie, but everyone made it seem like, oh my god, well you're gonna get pregnant so fast and you're gonna lose this and that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's not your life.
No, and even like you know, I'm guilty of it too. I was like, is Mitzi pregnant, Richie? Like, why are you getting married already?
Everyone was like, "Are you pregnant?" Even people we didn't even know, and found out that we were engaged at like 20, right? Fresh 20, let me tell you that, fresh 20. And everyone would be like, "Are you pregnant? Oh, you're getting married because you're pregnant, right?" I'd be like, "No, like, sorry, we're in love, I guess."
And even though they were saying like, no, we're not pregnant, like in the back of my head, I was like, what if they are pregnant?
Yeah. So I feel like I was so like not embarrassed, but I felt a little like, oh, like, am I doing the right thing? Am
Like
I
instead
too
of being
young?
really happy about it, like sharing with
Yeah.
everyone, I'm engaged.
Yeah,
Everyone
like,
was judging you.
yeah, my friends, my family, and I was just like, where's the friend? I had a couple friends that were happy for me, and like I love those friends, I respect them, and I have them still now. But I was so like, I didn't understand why like such a big step in my life was being for me, felt so embarrassing for me. And I was just like, no, like I'm happy, I love this guy, you know. I'm excited, and I felt like everyone was bringing me down because of it, honestly. And then I also look very young. So I would work at a school as it in the front desk, and everybody would be like, "Oh my God, you're engaged! You look like you're 13." And I'd be like, "Take it
No.
off." I'd be like, "No, I'm not." But I don't know why. I think that's one thing I regretting that I felt so young. I should have just embraced it. You know, like, yeah, I'm engaged. Like now I'm
Like, who
such a different
cares?
person that I would embrace it if if I had the same personality now. I would definitely embrace it back then. But yeah, I felt like I guess like shy about it. And then we were engaged for a whole year. So all of 2021 we were engaged. Then 2022 is when we got married. So we got married, and then the questions started hitting, like the ones that you got, when are you guys getting, I think the day that we got married, people were like, so when are you guys having babies? I was like, so yeah, people started asking that question. If you know me, you know I had a plan. My plan wasn't to get pregnant right away or even anytime soon. Was it the best thing that ever happened to me? Yes. At this point, I had just gotten married. Obviously I was still young. I didn't really have my life set up how traditionally it is. I was still in college, and I wanted to set up my life before having kids.
Was it hard for you to be married and go to school at the same time?
Very, very hard. I feel because I wanted to focus on Richie and I wanted to focus on school, it was so difficult. I'm not the type of person to just will experience it after I'm done with school. I was more like, okay, let's do it. I'll study really quick and then we'll go. At that point, there was a lot of baby showers, a lot of birthday parties. It was one of like my toughest challenges, being married and going to school. My plan was very set up for myself. I got married, but I wanted to finish my nursing school, which if you're in nursing school, you know that thing is hard. You have no space in your head for anything else. Literally, it was go to school for a million hours, then come home, study for a million more, and then go back to school. So you have no time. I barely even slept. So I feel like that year that I was in school, it was very like fussy for me because lack of sleep is not good for you. Like as moms now we know.
Of course not.
I feel like I didn't have headspace to think about, oh, let's have a baby. On the other side, Richie was the one that was always like, oh, let's have kids. And I was like, wait, like I'm still in school. Like I can't, like mentally, I can't do it. A lot of people do it. And I had a friend that did it. She had 2 kids. She was pregnant while we were in nursing school.
Did you have like an ideal age of actually having a baby?
I did. I know you said you felt like 28 was late, but that would have been my perfect age.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, just because I wanted to set a life up for my family first and then be able to enjoy it and then bring our family into the picture, you know? I wanted it to be Richie and I for a while. I was being selfish, and I feel that came because I'm the oldest in a Mexican household, and I feel like I was the one that took care of the little kids, and oh, you can't do this sport because you have to take care of your siblings.
You know, and it's funny that you say that because for me, on the other end, I I regret not having my baby sooner. Like even though, like you say, 28 is ideal, like I regret not having him sooner.
Yeah.
Like I would have had more children.
Yeah.
I love being a mom now. So
No, yeah, and honestly, like I get that too. But both my parents worked, so they were always gone at work, and they worked from day to night, and they were always sorry you can't do this because you have to take care of your siblings. I mean, we went 4 years without having kids. It was pretty good, but I was being selfish. Everyone knew my timeline that 28 was my perfect age. I wanted to finish school. Unfortunately, I didn't get to finish school because I did get pregnant and I was not able to do it. Like I said, my friend was pregnant throughout our nursing program, and our final actually made her go into labor. It was that hard.
That is so funny.
Yeah. I think she went into nursing school in the middle of her pregnancy, so she had already been through the nausea. The worst part for me, which was for me, like,
everyone's story is different, but we'll get to that in our
yeah.
next podcast.
Yeah. So I feel like she had already gone through the tough times, and it was still tough because, you know, pregnancy is not easy. But for me, the first beginning months were so hard, and I was still in nursing school throughout those difficult months, and I couldn't do it. I would try to read, fell asleep on my book. I don't know. I just felt like I couldn't do it, so I took a step back. I waited for Ollie to come into the picture. We were traveling since we were 19. Our first trip was San Francisco.
I remember that.
Yeah, we went for a whole week. I was like, wait, what are we doing? We're just kids. Like, now that I see myself as a mom perspective, I'm like, I would never let Ollie go. Like, hello. But yeah, my parents were scared and stuff. But
you know, I didn't get the chance to like travel with my boyfriend. We would go to Mexico, but my parents would come or his parents would come, separate rooms. But now that I think about it, if my children, once they're older and they want to travel with their significant others, I think I'll be open to it.
Yeah.
Because you know, they can explore the world.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily have to be with me the entire time.
Yeah. And everyone has different stories. What if they don't get to explore the world and they have kids way sooner than what we did, you know? I also see that too. But yeah, I think we also went before we were married to Cancun with you guys.
Yeah.
We had our own room.
I think it was a year before.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we were engaged, but before we were married or whatever. But yeah, in my headspace, I had no time. The question, am I gonna have a kid soon, never popped into my head. I was always talking about it with my husband, but we always knew that I wanted to wait. I knew he didn't want to wait. I knew he wanted, right when we got married, he wanted kids. And I was like, you know what? We got to meet in the middle.
Slow down, please.
Yeah. Because you asked us, like, was it hard to handle nursing school and a relationship? I mean, and a marriage? It was very hard. And, like, I feel like a lot of people don't normalize that marriages have up and downs. It's not always up. Maybe you post it only when it's up. Marriage has its downs, and it's okay. Eventually, you'll get out of it, but sometimes when you're in the middle of a storm, it doesn't feel like it'll ever end. My husband and I are definitely our lowest during this time. Before we found out I was pregnant, I would say we were at one of our lows in our marriage. So because we were going through that was a definite, like, yeah, we cannot have a baby right now, you know, we have to fix our relationship. And I think something that I liked was that I didn't get pregnant right away, which allowed me to learn how to deal with Richie. Because when you're married, it's a different story than when you are just dating. Because when you're dating, you're in the honeymoon phase, you know, you don't have to clean up after.
Not all the time. Me and my husband dated for 8 years.
Oh yeah.
So, no, it wasn't all honeymoon phase.
Yeah. But for Richie and I, since we only dated a year, it was always honeymoon phase.
I can imagine.
Until we got married, then we had two different ways of being. I always cleaned up after myself, and for him, he was fortunate enough to have a stay-at-home mom, and his mom cleaned for him. You know, the house was always spotless. For me, it was like, okay, a little bit of mess, but you clean for yourself, you know? So it was very hard.
And plus, he was the baby of the house.
He was the baby.
They always babied him.
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like it was very difficult to navigate. Obviously a lot of marriages have up and downs, and no one ever gets to see the down part. Everyone thinks that you're happy, like, oh, when you fight, you're like, oh, why are you fighting? Like, I feel like it's such a negative outlook on when people are going through hard times in their marriages. And
like, everyone will have their judgments.
Yeah. And then I feel like that's why it's also difficult to share, and you feel lonely along these like times, because you're like, no, if I tell them, they're gonna judge me.
So I feel like it's the same for any kind of struggle. Like me struggling in pregnancy, I didn't want to share it with anyone because I felt like people were going to give me all kinds of advice, be judging me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's because she was on birth control.
Yeah. And I feel like throughout these times, you just need someone to hear you, to let you vent, let you talk about it. I feel like for me, I needed someone to just, I'm going to tell you all of this because I need to get it off my chest. I'm alone and I feel like this and this and this. When you are at your lowest, the reason why I liked that I was married for 4 years before I had my daughter was because we got to learn how to deal with each other through our differences, through the hard times, you know, because for me, I was like, when I have my daughter, I want to be my best version. I don't want to argue in front of our kids. I'd rather get that out now. And then when we have kids, we're like, okay, like when he's angry, I should do this. Or when she's angry, I should not do this and do this. Also, another reason why I would recommend married couples to wait a little bit before you have your kid, because when you're married, it's a whole different story, honestly. So yeah, because of those up and downs, we weren't actively trying.
So were you ever on birth control?
No, I was always scared of birth control. A lot of my friends would take it, but they would have a lot of side effects. So I was always like, no, I can't risk it. I'm already like sad. I'm like, I can't do it. I was just literally, Jesus was taking the wheel the whole time.
I cannot believe you didn't get pregnant sooner.
No, like for 4 whole years, nothing. Obviously, you're a married couple. If it happens, it happens. But no, nothing. For 4 solid years, I was like, woo, you're good. We're good. No, but honestly, because I didn't take birth control, and sometimes I wish I did, because I would have been relaxed most of the time. Most of the time, I would look a little bloated, be like, yep, I'm pregnant. I was like, no, like, I wasn't pregnant for a long time, but yeah, I was scared all the time. I was scared, like, oh my gosh, am I pregnant? Like, are you sure I'm not
Would
pregnant?
you ever take like pregnancy tests?
I think I took a couple. Yeah,
Yeah, you
I
did?
took a couple. Yeah, for sure I did.
That is funny.
Yeah, because I was like always scared. Like, honestly, like I wasn't ready. So yeah, I was scared, and Richie would be like, who cares? Like
if it happens, it
I
happens.
was like, you're not the one that's gonna pop out the watermelon, okay? That was also the part why I was so scared. Like, you know, the whole pregnancy thing. You hear all of this stuff.
Honestly, like for me, I was actually pushing it back because I was so afraid of the delivery.
Oh yeah.
I was so afraid. And I was like, no, I can wait another year. Like, I'm not ready for that.
Oh yeah. Because when I found out, I was like, like I'm scared. Like I don't think I want to do this. Like I'm just kidding. I'm not pregnant. Like, but yeah, I didn't take birth control because I was scared of the side effects. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like for me, side effects. The only thing I would say that like stood out to me, I blush very, very easily, and people will know. Like if I'm laughing, if I'm crying, I turn bright red. But when I was on birth control, it kind of went away.
You think it numbed your emotions more?
It did, yeah.
Oh,
so as soon as I got off, I was like, oh, I can feel myself. Like I would cry
easier.
I was happier, yeah. But other than that, I mean, I didn't have like crazy side effects. It didn't make me moody.
Yeah, and all I've ever heard my whole life is, oh, it can make you infertile. And I obviously wanted to be a mom sometime in my story, but obviously I wasn't ready yet. So for me, being infertile was always scary also. Like getting pregnant was scary, but being infertile was even scarier.
Is there something that you still want to do that you didn't do?
Honestly, no. I would love to travel now with Ollie. Like, we went to Vegas, we partied it up, like we drank.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
We did like a bunch of fun stuff. We traveled to Cancun together, you know, like we went to a lot of stuff. We did, I feel like a lot. We went to concerts, we went to raves, we went to like a whole bunch where I feel like we hit our bucket list pretty early on, except the traveling to Europe and, you know, like those big plans I usually have.
You can still do them down the line.
Yeah, I can still do them down the line, but I feel like I did do most of the things that I wanted to do, except finish school. Yeah,
but it's okay.
Yeah. Honestly, everything happens for a reason. Bigger opportunities.
And for me, maybe I wasn't meant to have a baby early because I was meant to have my baby with Mitzy.
Yeah, literally. Definitely, my pregnancy was a surprise,
and mine was definitely a struggle.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what our stories look like. The outcome is so beautiful, and I wouldn't change anything. Ups and downs, surprises or not, I love where I'm at right now, you know. And yeah, I wish my story looked a little different with finishing school, but God does everything for a reason.
So if you feel that your plan got thrown out the window and your timeline isn't going as expected, you're not alone. I've been through it, and a lot of other women have too. You know, we struggle, and this is why we're here. We wanted to do this podcast so that we can share our stories with everyone and show you that you're not alone.
Hopefully you guys could relate to one of our stories, whether it's a surprise or whether it's a long wait. We're going to be here and sharing more of our stories in our next podcast. We're going to be talking about how we found out and how everyone reacted, because I feel like we had 2 different ways of like how people reacted to our stories. You can find us on Spotify,
on YouTube,
on Instagram,
and on TikTok.
Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our stories, and hopefully you stay for the ride, and we could build a little community of moms or people
soon to be
moms or waiting moms, or even if you don't want to be a mom, join us if you like. And thank you for joining us. This is Motherhood Unfiltered.